Hello, welcome to our online course of Tao of Healing Love with Jeronimo Garcia. I am Natalie A. Di Compian. I'm very pleased to be with you here today and offering this course that has changed my life and the life of so many. I met Jeronimo about 12 years ago and I've had the honor to be working with him for the past 7 years. We have been offering these workshops in many places, but mainly in Switzerland, in Greece, and in Mexico, Tepoztlan, Mexico, which is where I live. And we are currently undergoing the project of creating a darkroom technology retreat center there, which is something you will learn a little bit more about later on in this course. And so I present to you Jeronimo Garcia Centeno. He is a great inspiration to me. And he is a sexologist educator. He studied in the university, the National University Autonomous of Mexico. He is also a senior instructor of the Universal Healing Tao system of the great Grandmaster Mantak Chi in Thailand. He has been teaching sexual alchemy for over 3 decades already and has had thousands of students all over the world. He has taught in Europe, in all of the Americas, and in Asia. He is also a Sifu of the martial art of Wing Chun, and he also teaches Tai Chi Chuan, both of these for also over 30 years. So very pleased to have him with us. He is Mexican, as I said, and he has been named a pluriethnic ambassador from the government of Querétaro, Mexico, which is where he lives, where we currently are, and where he has his school and headquarters called Universal Living Tao System Jeronimo Garcia, and where students can come and take live sessions, practice retreats, personal sessions with him, and also certify as an associate instructor and as a certified instructor. So I'm very happy to present to you Jeronimo Garcia. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much, dear Natalie, and I'm very glad to be here sharing with all you this information. So this workshop has changed the life of so many people, mine also, because it teaches us how to transform the brute sexual energy, which is so powerful, because this sexual energy is not just an important part of our life. Sexual energy is life itself. All of us are here because of this energy. That's how the Creator makes sure that the species will continue, thanks to this prize that gave us, which is orgasmic energy. However, this energy, if we just allowed it to be there in the pelvic plexus, well, we will feel sexual pleasure, but it's so nice, but it has a very different potential, because when we take this energy up to the heart and we love the person that we are making love, that's where we used to say we're making love, is when we take this sexual brute energy into the heart and open it. Of course, we will have a very different experience. So we transform this energy just by arriving to the heart. But what happened when we take this combination of these two energies, the sexual brute energy with love, compassion, and joy to the head, and learn through the art of the ejaculation, or also called the orgasmic absorption or the big draw, when we learn how to make an implosion of orgasmic energy in the center of our head, which is called in the Tao the crystal chamber. So all these glands, pineal gland, hypophysis, pituitary gland, all these glands having orgasmic convulsions inside our heads will bring us this state of bliss, states of connection with something beyond ourselves, with some spiritual energy that actually more all the female beings in the planet of all species, they have this connection by just it's part of their nature. The uterus connects with this we can say this dimension where all the souls of all beings are before coming to this earth and take a body. So females, it's easier for them to make this contact by intuition. Most of men, it's very hard for them to get this contact in this society, because we have been living in this society in which the male perspective of sexuality is focused most of the times on the pelvic zone. So that's a shame that most of people don't know how to make this combination of what we call the three treasures. We call it the three treasures, or the three fires, because it's the sexual fire, the love fire, and the spiritual fire combined in an inner structure that is called the microcosmic orbit. When we learn how to make this inner alchemy, of course, will change our lives, because we can achieve these states of bliss, states of awareness, of energies that has been there since before we are born, and will keep going after our death. So it's like making a connection with the eternal, making the connection with the infinite through the sexual arousal. But this sexual arousal is just like the fire, the ignition fire to open the heart and open the head, the connection with that dimension where we all come from, and that we will go back once we die. So in some of these experiences, that's why some women that have with their intuition, they can arrive to some states that it is called the le petit mort, as the French says, the little death, because it's like the woman is dead to this reality, but it's awakes in the spiritual world, in this spiritual dimension that can open, as we say in the Tao, a woman that knows how to fly in ecstasy opens the doors of heaven for the men. We will see in detail all about this inner structure that allowed us to make this connection in couples, because in couples it's easier. But of course we will have to learn how to transform our own sexual energy without partner first. That's why we will be showing how is the training for the man and the woman by themselves in this multi-orgasmic way of transforming the sexual energy, in order to make it in couple, what we call the dual cultivation, which refers on how, once I know how to transform my own energies, how to make it in couple. So when you do it in a couple, then you build what we call, or we can call the cosmic cell, or one being with two genders at the same time. So it's an androgynous being. When we are making love, we become an androgynous. So it's amazing, because all the beings that we know, all the creation in nature comes out from this specific cell.
So now we're going to have a look at the overview of this course, this online course. And so Jeronimo is going to be explaining a little bit what each session is going to be about, briefly. And in the next video, that's when session 1 is going to start with the introduction to this workshop, which is the introduction to Taoism. So Jeronimo, we go with you. Please give us an overview of what this course is going to be all about. And I'm listening.
This image that I found it very, very beautiful and specific, because most of people know that we men are solar. I mean, we are aligned with the solar energy. That's why most of men, if the kidneys are okay, we will get an erection before the sunrise, because it's when the levels of testosterone goes up and it's aligned with the sun. But in this image, the man it's on water, and the female it's on fire, when we know that the cycle of the woman, actually the cycle of fertility, is a moon cycle, in which her ovulation is like the full moon, and the menstruation is the new moon. So this, and in the middle of these two stages, which is referred to quarter of the moon, the full moon, the quarter menguante, it's waning moon, and the new moon. These four archetypes are defining the what we can say the fertile cycle. So, but here in this image, she is in the fire, when her cycle is the cycle of the water, because all the waters they move with the moon. So, and especially when the moon is directing also the psychic and the emotional activities in all female world. So, but in this image, we see the opposite, because they are explaining or showing the alchemy, in which I offer what I have the most and receive what I need the most. In this case, the man is offering the fire that keeps his penis in erection as an offer. She receives it, and the more she gets sexually aroused, the more waters she is bringing back. So she lubricates better, she can ejaculate, and will be a very, very nice, we will talk about the female ejaculation, because for the Tao, these ejaculations, they don't even come from this dimension. It is said that these ejaculations, they come from that place where the souls are before coming to this earth. Because we will see in detail about that, because it's still a mystery how can a woman can ejaculate half of a liter, almost half a liter can be in each one, and have several of them. There's no place in her body to keep that amount of water. So we will see that in detail, but in detail, by now, I would like to mention this image as the example of how man is offering the fire and receiving the water that cools him down, in order for him to learn how to focus more in the erotism instead of the genitalization, as most of the explicit sexual images are shown in the porn industry. So that's something that will help us a lot, also the Tao of Love, to help men how to eroticize instead of genitalized. And women learned how to use this fire to open the heart and the connection where the uterus is already connected. I mean, this emptiness that is in the uterus is in the same image of what we call the dark matter. So that void, that emptiness, that nothingness, that it's all over the universe that we know. All the female inside the uterus, they have a portion of it. It's a nothing. What is inside the uterus, nothing. But is not any nothing. It just is the nothingness where life can come through. So we will see how this affects ourselves. I will mention also that this workshop, of course, we will have recognition, counts as hours, into the Universal Healing Tao system for those who will like to continue in this path to become either associate instructor or a certified instructor. So in the session 1, we will be looking at an introduction to the Taoism. We will have an overview of the online course. We will be talking about the relation between the Tao and the Qigong, the art of Qigong, which is the art of breathing and transforming and even keeping, saving the energy transformed. I mean, when we will speak about the art of sexual transmutation, we will be talking about sexual alchemy. And the alchemy, what is an alchemic process? It's a process in which we take an element and transform it into another element of a higher quality. And this process can be repeated. So that's what we are going to be doing with the sexual energy, transform it into the pure love and transform it into pure spirituality. This art has been taught, even we know that many of the books that were written about this, at least they were wrote about 2,800 years before Christ. So it means that at least 5,000 years ago, the first books that were written about sexology, they have this vision that I call ontological perspective of sexuality, because ontos, it refers to the being, and logos is the study or the perspective from the being. I mean, here we will be talking about that later on, the differences between the perspective in Western sexology and the Taoist sexology. We also will give a brief history of our lineage, because we need to know where this knowledge comes from and how we receive it in order to transmit it in a lineage. It is said, like in the Tao, it's like being grabbing the tail of a dragon. So it's a big honor for us to be grabbing the tail of a dragon. That means this lineage that we are carrying with honor. And we'll have a look of what we decided to call the cosmic vision of the Tao, because usually it is said the worldview of the Tao, but it seems like it's not the right meaning of what we want to transmit, because the cosmic vision of the Tao, it means about what is really happening in sexual intercourse. Because most of people, they think that they are just bodies, physical bodies having sex. And from this perspective, we will see that the connection is among souls, and there are happening things in another dimensions. So we will be taking a look of what we decided to call the cosmic vision regarding something beyond the knowledge or the perception from the human from this planet. It goes far beyond. We will be talking also about the darkroom technology. It's something that I prepared my students to have that kind of experience, which means to stay in darkness and silence at least 7 days, 14 days, or the 21 days. Usually we do that in Tao Garden in Thailand. We are making efforts to build this technology in Mexico for first time. And we can call it like transpersonal Taoist psychology, because in that conditions, in the condition of darkness and silence, we can develop this alchemy of the death, because when a person dies, all the glands of the body will release all the liquids that are in the body. They will come out through all the holes in the body. And we will see in detail what is this alchemy that can release what we call the DMT molecule. Some people call it the molecule of God, because it allowed us to open this, what we call the third eye, related to the pituitary gland, and have these visions of even what we share, all the people that have done this experience, we share what we saw in some parts of this experience. And we also, not just the moment of our birth, we saw the decisions we took before getting birth in this planet. So it's like recovering our ancient memories. It's something so beautiful. Of course, this experience will change and transform everybody's life. On the session 2, we will take a look about the Taoist sexual alchemy and the basic principles of the Taoist inner structure. That's why we will, in that point, we will see how important it is to transform the negative emotions into the virtues. Because, as we say in the Tao, our sexual experience depends on our emotional experience. So we will be showing some exercises, like the swimming dragon exercise to open the channels. Especially will be very important for us to open the channels that conform what we call the microcosmic orbit. And then we will open these channels through exercises as the cosmic inner smile. And we will even give you a very important exercise to get into an experience of opening the channels. And so we will be looking at these practices that they have the vessel dilation effect, because one of the main problems specifically about sexual malfunctions are precisely this performance anxiety. And the performance anxiety has this vessel constriction effect. So in order to reverse it and make it exactly a vessel dilation effect are these practices such as the swimming dragon, the inner cosmic inner smile, in order to open the microcosmic orbit through an exercise that is called the water mill. Because we use these principles, like the water mill uses the force of the water going downwards. That same force, we can use it to make the water go upwards, especially with the water cycle. When it is warmed by the heat, what happens with the water? It releases this vapor. So that vapor will open the heart, open the head to the transcendental experience. So we will be looking also at the microcosmic orbit opening, so which is one of the main purposes of the practice. Is in order to create this sexual alchemy, we need to open these channels, which we will see them in detail further on. So for now, on the session number 3, we will be working with the healing sounds. This is so important that Master Chia has told us, to all his instructors in the world, that we should not teach any sexual practice itself before, if we do not teach before this emotional alchemy. As I mentioned before, our sexual experience depends on our emotional experience. So in order to transform these negative emotions, in quotations, because we call them negative, such as anger, frustration, envy, they damage the organs. But we call these negative emotions as teachers. They show us something about ourselves. If my consciousness goes to the origin of this negative emotion, we can learn a lot about the state of our soul. Why am I depressed? Why am I have anxiety? Why I have worry, etc. So we can, by putting light into these negative emotions, we can transform them, and then go into the origin of, if sometimes we inherit these negative emotions from our parents, our tribe, as we say, our lineage, family lineage. So many of these negative emotions don't even belong to us. We just inherit it. So we can transform them. And by doing that, we just don't heal ourselves. We can heal even our family also. It's very interesting. So we will do, one session will be only for the practice of the 6 healing sounds, which is one of the most important and beautiful practices of our system, especially important in nowadays, that most of people, they live in fear, in worry, they can get depressed, they have anxiety. So we need to transform this because our immune system depends on it. These negative emotions, they affect our health and they weaken our immune system. So it's so important for us to learn how to transform those negative emotions in order to strengthen our defense system of the body. So on the session number 4, we will take a look about the sexual human response. Here we will take a look about the Western sexual human response, how we see, because I will say that sexology is something very new in Western culture. It just have, as we say, half an hour ago, because even in the middle of the last century, there was almost non-existent sexology. Many people have done the first efforts to share the knowledge of sexology, but it was considered as porn. So it was very difficult in this culture to get rid of this sexophobic perspective that we inherited from, especially from the European culture during those days. But in the Taoist sexual human response, we will take a look about this perspective of what is really happening when the people get sexually aroused, and when they are sharing sexuality, in a sexual intercourse, what happens in the soul, what happens in the being. So it's very different, and especially important because the first books that were written about this, about sexology, they have this perspective. As I mentioned before, what I called the ontological perspective of the human response. So it's very interesting. We will take a look about how we build our erotic reflex map. We will see how in detail we build this reflex, sexual or erotic reflex map since even before we are born. It's very interesting. In order to achieve this development of the state of awareness of what is really going on, we need to develop this observing self, something within ourselves that can observe how I speak to start with, how I breathe, because if I notice how I speak, I can be aware of how I build my beliefs system, if I choose it or it was imposed, or and also can be aware of how I have created this perspective of the reality, or if I notice that there are several realities, depending on precisely on my state of awareness, of perception. So we will take a look about this, the observing self, so important in all human development. And also we will take a look of the breathing, because the energy moves inside our bodies depending on the way I breathe. We will see that in detail, because especially this primordial breathing is the way how a newborn is breathing. It is said in the Tao that the best Qigong teacher is the just newly born child. So we'll take a look about it. On session number 5, we will be focusing on the training of the multi-orgasmic man, because something that we need to know is that all sexual habits, in reality, there's a way, a path in my brain. So in this way, if I want to transform sexual energy, we need to make another path in our brains and another connection, neurological paths in our brains. So we need to do, in order to learn how to ejaculate, to create this contractive energy inside our head of orgasmic energy, then we need to practice by ourselves. Also, men and women can learn how to do this testicular and ovarian breathing. It means how to breathe with our genitals, something that is, for Western culture, it's something very crazy. I mean, but this is the base of the sexual transformation, how to breathe with our genitals. The art of sharpening the sword, it means how I practice as man the art of ejaculation, so I can apply it in a couple, in a sexual intercourse when the time arrives. We will take a look of the masculine erogenous zones, how to stimulate them in this way, not to achieve the ejaculation and orgasm energy as fast as I can, which is the way most of the men, when they masturbate themselves, the order that they are giving to their body is to ejaculate as fast as they can. And so even if they love the partner sexually, what are they are going to do? Well, the same way as they have been masturbating all their lives. And that's why also I would like to mention that the word masturbation is a sexophobic word already, to start with. I mean, that word, it's full of this, it's loaded with more moral and judgment charge. So in order to avoid that perception, we changed for another word is auto-erotization, especially with divine purpose. Because in the self-cultivation, also we call it that way, male and female sexual cultivation solitary, in order to do it with a couple, we will learn how to do this through the art of sharpening the sword. And so we will be looking in detail how this is the art of ejaculation, orgasmic absorption, also called the big draw. because it's an ascension of orgasmic energy. Instead of releasing it through the genitals, which most of men do, so we learn how to absorb this energy. Safety measure, we will take a look of the safety measures, because this art has some dangers in the practice if we don't pay good attention. So we'll take a look of that. In the session number 6, we will be looking at the training of the multi-orgasmic woman. Part 1, how to open these channels through the inner love, which is some very simple and very powerful technique for having this vessel opening of the vessels and channels. The art of behaving the dread dragon refers to the art of how to control the menstruation and ovulation at will. Something that in Western culture they don't even consider the fact. Everybody considers the menstruation and ovulation as part of nature, but they need to take a look of all the female in all the rest of the mammal species. They do not ovulate and menstruate all year. They have periods of stages of the year where they are able to, they are open to sexual intercourse, but just for reproduction purposes. Humans don't behave like that. We don't have sex just for procreation purposes. Some of species they can have also what we call recreative sexual intercourses. Well, we will take a look about that. Regarding here, it's how to control at will. It's not against nature, it's above nature. Something important about the Tao is not against any nature laws. On the opposite, it's using the nature world laws in order to, in this case, avoid aging, because that's the secret for the Taoists since many thousands of years ago, how to get to elder age, but with a young body and with all the benefits of youth, even when they achieve advanced age. The use of the jade or onyx egg for beginners and advanced. We will take a look of how to use this beautiful practice of having the yoni, or some call the yoni eggs, or how to move these eggs inside the vagina, and what are the benefits for the youth, health, and opening of the consciousness. We will take a look about that. So in the part 2 of this training of the multi-orgasmic woman, we also will take a look about the female erogenous zones and their effective sexual stimulation. Unfortunately, most people don't really know how to stimulate with effectiveness the erogenous zones of women, and there are a lot of them. And most of the porn industry, they teach just this in-out technique inside the vagina that really is not stimulating any of the many erogenous zones of women. And we say somebody has to tell that to men because they think that rubbing in a very fast way the vagina with the penis, she will feel a lot of pleasure, and somebody will have to tell them, no, it is not true. That usually what it creates is a micro tears inside the vagina, especially when using condom. So we will look at that in detail. Also, we will take a look about the genital reflexology, because as we know in Chinese traditional medicine, all parts of the body contains all parts of the body. The part contains the whole contains the part. So we can heal organs through the genitals. That's why in ancient times they even teach, we will see that later on, even positions that stimulate specific parts of the genitals to treat specific organs. The sacred zone, which is the G zone, we like to call it zone. Most people call it the G spot because, well, that's because of the book that wrote Dr. John Perry and Mary Whippley about the G spot, but in reality it's not a spot, it's a zone. So that's why we prefer to call it zone. And how this particular zone that helps women how to ejaculate, and that ejaculation, how can it help to heal the female sexual history, especially in cases of traumatic sexual experiences in the past, in the youth, or in the childhood. So it's very interesting about this point, or this zone. The ancient, I like to include here an ancient Toltec topic that is called the recapitulation. It's a practice that can help us to transform negative or traumatic experiences in our lives transform them into wisdom. Because suffering, it's a choice. I mean, as in the Buddhist, it is said that pain is we cannot avoid it, but suffering, yes, suffering is a choice. So this is a very powerful technique to transform suffering into wisdom. And we will talk also about this story of the Black Widow in the Tao, which is a story that Master Chia used to tell us about what we could say dangerous in the practice of the female that can harm men if they are not aware. We will take a look about that. On the session number 8, we will take a look about the Tantian Qigong. It's an introduction to this. One of the jewels of our system is the Tantian Qigong. Tantian can change the life of, have changed the life of many people in the world because it empowers men or women in such a way that we learn how to root ourselves in this planet. Because when we stand, it is a saying in the Shaolin monastery that it says, stand like a tree, sit as a bell, and run like the wind. This way of standing like a tree in such a way that when we can push you from the 4 directions, the person will not move. If it's really rooting, that's something so important even for therapists or even for just people that will not allow all the vibrations in the world that can unbalance emotionally the people. When you learn this technique, nothing can move you. And then you can create your own reality. It's so powerful. You will see that. It's one of the techniques is unbendable arm. How by using force, muscular force, anybody can bend your arm. But when you open the channels through the Tantian Qigong, nobody can bend your arm if you do it properly. We will take a look about that. And the gaze of power is how to project this power through the eyes. The look the eyes can transform and project such an amazing amount of energy, of chi, that even people can say they can feel the gaze of someone. We'll take a look of that. I decided also to include in this session number 9 the 4 directions and their influence on human relations. This is something very interesting about our culture in Mexico. It's a part of the Toltec knowledge about which energy is more can say, prevalent in the life of a person since the moment of birth. Because since we come to this world and make our first inhalation, it is said that one of these four energies get inside of our body. So we need to know which one it is and which one it is the one of a couple, if I have a couple, so we can make a very nice forecast about how is going to be that relation. If I do not do nothing, we can have some problems in our relation. But if we know in advance which could be those problems and make a strategy to solve them, this knowledge have helped a lot of couples to save their relation. And then the session number 10, the multi-orgasmic couple. Now, once we have this preparation on how to transform my sexual energy and my emotional energy by myself, how can I do it with a couple? So we will start with how to make at least a very easy way to consecration of space, how to prepare the space as a platform in order to achieve the higher levels of perception in such a way that our connection will be on the vertical plane, not in the horizontal as most people they do, but in a vertical way. So the opening of microcosmic orbit in a couple, that's a very amazing practice that it's even a therapy in itself, because in the microcosmic orbit is the history of all our sexual, emotional, and religious or spiritual history in our bodies. In the session number 11, we will be taking a look of the exercises, the sexual healing positions. We will take a look of the 8 benefits, what is called the 8 benefits. These techniques are, when a Taoist master in ancient times knew that you and your couple do learn how to make sexual alchemy, instead of giving you medicine from the drugstore, the recipes were sexual positions that can stimulate specific organs with intention and with a number of thrusts and in the way of doing them. So it's fascinating, this part. We will take a look also of the 8 healing positions for men and the 7 healing positions for women. And on the session number 12, we will learn how to make this unconditional love meditation and the mantrix. I mean, something that it's very important from the Taoist perspective is how to open our heart at will and release this unconditional love. Actually, if it's love, it has to be unconditional. I mean, I will not tell you, well, I will love you if you do this or that. No, no, no. If I love you, I probably, with things that you do, probably we will not be able to live together, but it doesn't matter. My love's still there, even if we are not couple. That's something that most people don't know how to do that, because the way they break their relationships, usually it's with violence, with talking in a disrespectful way. So instead of being with gratitude of whatever, even if they had just 5 minutes good in harmony, well, be grateful for those 5 minutes. And then the mantrix is something so amazing, how the vibration, which is the original verb, the mantra, the original mantra, can connect us with the spirit. So we will give a look to the mantrics and the meditation, and that's it. We will make this practice to feel how connecting with this love meditation energy will give us the access to a different state of perception of the spiritual world. So this is what all this workshop is about.